Welcome to Online EdVantage. I'm Professor Gonzalez. Today we're going to talk about inventory write-downs. At the end of the period, companies are required to look at their inventory and compare the cost of their inventory, which is what they use to record their inventory, to net realizable value. Now, the companies that do this are using FIFO, weighted average, or specific identification. For LIFO, they have to do lower of cost or market. Again, under FIFO, which is the most commonly used method, we do lower of cost or net realizable value. So what is net realizable value? Net realizable value is the selling price less any costs of selling. If they purchase and they record it at cost, and then they mark it up and sell it. So if that selling price less costs of selling, such as commissions or freight, becomes lower than their actual cost that's on their books, then they have to mark it down or write it down. Let's go ahead and go over some analysis. We're looking at different products. First, we're going to do this by individual items, and we're just comparing. So we have 5 products, and A, B, C, D, and E. And these are the costs in total, the units times the costs of these items that are on our books. So right now, our inventory cost in total is $630,000, and that's what would be on our books. Then we would look at net realizable value for each of these inventory items. And again, that's selling price less the cost of selling, and that's where these numbers would have came from. And then we're just going to compare the two. Looking at the first item, it cost us $100,000. The net realizable value is $120,000. The lower of the two is the $100,000. And then comparing product B, cost $210,000, the net realizable value. So now net realizable value has fallen below cost. So net realizable value is $200,000. So I'm picking the lower of the two of those. The next one, this is just the total of those. The next one is $75,000 for cost and $70,000 for net realizable value. Again, the lower one is the $70,000. Product D, $95,000 cost and $96,000 net realizable value. Cost is lower. And product E, $150,000 and $140,000, net realizable value is lower. Now I'm going to total the lower of the cost or net realizable value, and that comes to $605,000. $605,000 compared to $630,000. So on our books it's at $630,000. $605,000 is the lower of cost or market. So we take the difference between those two, and that's $25,000. So now we have to do a write-down of $25,000, doing a journal entry. Lowering our inventory account with a credit, and the offset account is cost of goods sold with a debit. Now I'm going to do this based on categories of inventory. So sometimes companies are not going to do it by individual items. They may do it by product line or categories of inventory that are similar. So in this situation, we have A and B that are similar. So that's a category, and they've been totaled. And then we have C, D, and E, which is another category, and they have been totaled. So now I am going to redo this, just looking at the totals of each. I'm going to erase, because this will change the calculation. So for the first category, the cost in total is $310,000, and the net realizable value is $320,000. The lower of the two is the cost of $310,000. And then of this next category, which contains C, D, and E, the total cost is $320,000, and the total net realizable value is $306,000. So the lower of the two is $306,000. I'm going to total those up to get $616,000. And now I'm comparing the $630,000, the total cost, to the lower of the cost or net realizable value of $616,000. And that is going to come to $14,000, the difference between the $630,000 and the $616,000. Now I will do a journal entry to adjust. So again, $630,000 minus $616,000 is $14,000. The journal entry to adjust for that is going to be to lower inventory to get to $616,000 by the $14,000. So inventory will be credited. I'm going to go ahead and do that up here. Crediting inventory, just abbreviating it, of $14,000, and debiting cost of goods sold by $14,000. And what this has done is the 630 is what's on my balance sheet right now. It has now lowered inventory by 14, getting it to a new balance of 616, which is the lower of cost or net realizable value. Thank you very much. I hope you found this video helpful.